Hey there, it's Mary Sue Dahill, host of the CRM Success Secrets. What we do here is we talk about how to really leverage your CRM in your business, including automations, and all of the great features available to your coaching or consulting practice. And usually I have a guest here talking about how they use the system. But today I wanted to share something that I have been asked many times by my clients and really applies to every business. So I hope you enjoy it. What we're going to talk about are the simple system to organize your CRM and automations. Because what happens when you been using your system for a while is you have all these forms, all these tags, funnels, automations, and if you haven't implemented a system to keep all of that organized, it becomes kind of a mess and you end up creating duplicates of things, or you have automations that are firing at random times, which you don't understand why that's happening. So this simple system will really help you avoid those struggles and, maintain your CRM and automations in a way that will be very easy for you to track what's going on and how everything connects. So I did publish a blog on this a few weeks ago, and that will be linked in the show notes. So definitely take a look at the full blog if you want to review the steps and everything. So what we're going to talk about is it's really simple. It's 5 steps. So it always starts out with an audit. And even if you are following this system, you should plan to do an audit twice a year. It's just a good best practice because you will end up creating automations and assets that are in your system that you either don't use, don't need, or just become kind of clutter and garbage in your system. So definitely follow an audit process. So let me talk through what the steps are here. And when I say assets, I'm going to use that reference word a couple of times. I'm talking about your CRM forms, surveys, the funnels that you create, the automations that you create, maybe websites. And what am I miss? Oh, tags. Tags. Those always go. Tags gone wild is a thing. So I'll refer to all of those things as assets throughout this conversation. So what an audit does is it just refamiliarizes yourself with what is in your system, because we're busy. We're just building and launching things all the time, and the audit makes you pause and really look at what's useful to you to keep on, and to maybe reuse or to refresh for a future campaign. So there are really 3 questions that you should ask yourself as you're going through this is, does the asset reflect your current offerings and messaging? Have you replaced the asset with something new? And is the branding current? So you can keep just kind of a list of those things. But if the answer is no to 2 or 3 of those questions, um, the final question is, do you even need it anymore? Because eliminate it, delete it. You could also move it to a reference folder, but you want to make sure that it's off, especially if it's an automation, that it's no longer turned on. So personally, I like deleting things, and just I've not regretted it. To be honest with you, it ends up being kind of like baggage that's holding me back. So make your list of things that are still useful, and maybe, um, you need to update the messaging, or, just refresh maybe your pricing, something like that. So, you may also, during your audit, want to jot down those systems that are missing or incomplete. So, incomplete is easy. Maybe you launched a paid product and it was last minute, and so all you had was a receipt that they received after they purchased it. Now maybe it's time to add a automation to do a little bit of follow up to get them into a strategy session or something like that. Missing might be that you have a lead magnet that does not go into any kind of a welcome series. Those are great opportunities to make a list of things that you need fixed and prioritize them. At the end of the audit, this is a great opportunity to schedule your next one. And again, I like to do them every 6 months during the summer and then during the winter breaks. So now that we have things that we are familiarized with, now we're going to really implement the system itself. The first main component of your organization system is to follow a consistent naming convention of all of the assets. This makes it so easy to connect the dots when you are launching something. So I'll use an easy example here, which is just a lead magnet. So when you create a lead magnet, you have a opt-in page which says, download my free lead magnet. It also includes a form that for them to fill out, and it includes an automation to deliver the PDF or at least do a follow-up. So you have 3 assets that you're using just right there: a funnel, an opt-in form, and an automation. So how do you link those 3 things together is through the naming convention. So depending on your system, in the Work Smarter CRM system, the form is its own separate asset. So the way that my naming convention works is that I use a category and name. So the category is, what is it? So in this example, it's a lead magnet. So all of my assets will start with simply lead magnet. And then I use a dash and then I put the actual name. So in this case, it would be the actual lead magnet. What is the lead magnet? So we'll say fill your pipeline lead magnet. So the naming convention would be lead magnet dash fill your pipeline. So all of my assets would start with that. There'd be the form that has that name, then the funnel that has that name, and the automation. So when I am going to update something, when I'm pulling, even pulling on the form onto my landing page, it makes it very easy for me to find it because I can search by name. Most CRM systems are sorted by alphanumeric. So if you have everything grouped together that's the same, like lead magnet opt-ins, then you're going to get a smaller list than your full list. It helps you tremendously with avoiding similar names because of misspellings. So since I am a terrible speller, this happens to me a lot. But if I can see all my lead magnets, I can scroll through the 10 of those versus the maybe 30 forms that I have. So that's the simple naming convention that I would apply across all of your assets. Um, you know, there are tools that allow you to map your automations, or you could also create a document, a diagram mapping your automations. Personally, I don't do that because they become immediately out of date. And because trying to keep that up to date is difficult, and you're always adding new systems. So it doesn't help, to me, it doesn't really help you manage your systems that well. If you want a snapshot of it, maybe that would be helpful, but this naming convention will help you actually manage all of your systems very simply, and it makes it easier for you to train your team on taking over, keeping things up to date, or building new things off of existing. All right. The second thing, or really it's the third thing, is using folders to group your assets. So in the Work Smarter CRM, each of those assets, so like a folder, a funnel, and an automation, are in their own separate area. And within that area, each one has folders. So forms, for example, which they seem to proliferate like tags is I have a folder for lead magnet forms. So all of my forms related to lead magnets will go into that folder. And then automations, similar to that, I may group those by the actual lead magnet itself. That's not true. I have a lead magnet folder. So I have all my lead magnets and my welcome series in one folder. And then funnels, you do the same thing. So folders can help group things. And that really just streamlines when you're going to look for something and update it, that you're not having to search through hundreds of files potentially to find it. And if there are multiple items in there, then they're grouped together already in the funnel. In the folder. So that was the third thing. So the fourth item is, and this makes such a big difference, is number the order specifically for emails and automations. So a great example here is you're running a weekend sale. And when you're doing something like that, you have multiple emails. And usually, let's say it's 5 to 6 emails. So you can name them by what the focus of the email is, but I promise you, numbering them will help you ensure that your automation that is sending out those emails on the schedule, it's much easier to do a quality check if you have them numbered. So, for example, um, Friday, your email for your weekend sale, we will say the category is weekend sale, dash, the name would be what we're selling. So let's say planner, and then dash email one. So that would be my naming convention for the email. Then the second one would be weekend sale, dash, planner, dash, email two. And that way, I can see them also because these systems all order things by alphanumeric. So it would be in order numerically first. And that makes it, again, so much easier to see the list and to ensure that I've made all the updates that I want to make. I do this for both emails and automations, especially in automations, because usually you'll have more than one automation for something. So an example of this might be one of your lead magnets is, like for my business, is a demo of the CRM. So someone says they're interested, and then there's a series of emails to get them to schedule the demo. Once they schedule the demo, I remove them from the reminder automation. So those are two automations with the way that I set it up. So automation one is the interest and get them to schedule. Automation two is that remove them, they've already scheduled. So just knowing again that those are in order, because I always start it with the number in the automations. So it would be one dash schedule demo, and then the second one would be two dash remove from schedule demo, something like that. So that I can see the order. And when your emails are numbered, when you go into the automation, it makes it easy to pull, make sure that the email's in the proper place in the automation so that it is going out in the order that you expect it. So numbering things that have a clear sequence usually applies to emails, texts, and automations. All right. So the fifth organizing step is to turn off automations not in use. Now, this is a newer step that I've implemented this year. And I've implemented it because I've had a couple of clients and myself where they had automations on, the campaign was over, but they forget how they're using some of the tags or I don't know. So it's just weird stuff can kick off an automation that you just forgot is on. So mine was for the business book summit that I ran last fall, and it was being kicked off based off of, a specific tag, and I just happened to merge, this particular contact had multiple people, or multiple records, so I merged them, and when I did that, it recognized the tag that was already on one of the records as being new to this new merged contact, and so she started getting, my Summit emails. I can't remember which one, but it was surprising. I didn't realize that's how that merge worked. But if I had turned off that automation, it would have never fired. I had a client who, the way that they had set up their automations really wasn't ideal. And so it was, they would kind of book their newsletter automations into like 8-12 weeks of an automation of their newsletter. And it would kick off whenever the person got a subscriber tag. Well, the problem is that they weren't turning off their automations, and so, they had multiple automations that were on, and so when somebody became a new subscriber, they were actually getting 3 emails. They were different emails, but they were getting 3 emails kind of on the same schedule. Um, and you wouldn't know that unless you were a new subscriber. So even all the testing we were doing on other campaigns, we weren't seeing it because we were not new subscribers. So turn off automations in not in use, or delete them if they're no longer useful. But that will save you from over emailing or over communicating people accidentally, because you're not necessarily going to know they're all running until someone lets you lets you know. So this is just a good practice to ensure that you're not, you just missed something that was on. So turning off automations just should be part of, at the end of a campaign, that you go back and turn off those automations that no longer need to be running. And so you don't accidentally start firing them. So, those are kind of the 5 steps to organizing your CRM and automations. And as I said, I found that this naming convention makes it so much easier for me to manage my automations and all of my assets associated with campaigns. Makes it easier to find things, makes it easier to update when I have changes, and also train my team on how to manage these things. Now, another kind of related question is, let's say my messaging changes, or a product name changes. That's probably more common, product name changes. How do you go about updating everything in your all of your assets? And for me, since I'm turning off campaigns or automations that are no longer in use, I only go back and make those updates to product names or messaging changes when I'm going to start using them again. So my systems and stuff are not 100% accurate at all times, but the ones that are being used are. So I just focus on what's active right now and making sure that those are accurate at this time. So that does mean that you need to add in time to make updates when you want to run a campaign again, but usually it's not going to be as, time consuming as you think. And in some ways, the way I think about it is, it's just in time updates. So you don't want to be wasting time on things you may never reuse again. So keep it simple, people. Keep your changes focused on your website and those campaigns or automations that you're using right now. You don't need to keep everything up to date at all times, but add in some buffer when you go to reuse something that you're going to have to update, maybe your messaging and your branding, and some of your terminology. So hopefully you found this helpful. Summer is a great time to be spending a few hours doing an audit and implementing this simple system to keep your CRM and automations organized. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. And again, my name is Mary Sue Dahill, founder of Work Smarter Digital and host of this podcast. I help business coaches and consultants actually implement their marketing systems by offering an all-in-one CRM solution, and I provide services to help them actually implement and strategize on how they're going to use the software in their business. I love doing what I do, and my clients appreciate that I have that strategic ability to help them understand and think through how they're going to run campaigns, how they're going to run a sale for the weekend, so that it's the most effective for their business. So schedule a demo if you'd like to see the Work Smarter CRM. Have a great rest of your day.